Bunny Smacker here, glad to see you're back. Today I'll be talking about F.I.S.T. Forged in Shadow, a 2021 Metroidvania game. It released on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 on September 7th, 2021. It's currently part of the PlayStation Plus subscription, which is where I ended up playing this title. And F.I.S.T. caught my interest because of its box art. It is a bunny that smacks things with a robot arm. Hard not to at least try a game that invokes my namesake. So before we get started, I decided to make these reviews a bit more casual, as I don't love how rigid and formal they've been sounding. Basically, I'm moving to a thumbs up, thumbs down system. This should convey how I felt overall about a game I'm reviewing, or at least more so than before. So let's get started. I'll start with the story. As I've said before, I really don't care about stories in video games. I don't necessarily think all of them are bad. It's just not why I personally choose to play the games I do. Some of my favorite games' stories consist of going left and saving the world or princess. F.I.S.T. having a boilerplate story that has been seen hundreds of times is not a deal breaker by any means. However, it isn't anything exciting either. Basically, you, Rayton, were best friends with another rabbit, Cicero. You fought against the Legion robot army together. You think he dies, but during this game it's revealed not only is he alive, but he also is the new boss of the Legion. Luckily, this doesn't really affect much, but it is in fact a story. Maybe one you've heard before. Story gets a thumbs down from me. As for the graphics, the art direction of the game is heavily inspired by Blade Runner. It's very cyberpunk heavy, and it's a cool setting. The characters have a lot of detail to their fur, and character design makes them feel like they're part of the lived-in world. My only real knock against the game's look is that while the setting can be post-apocalyptic in nature, I prefer when cyberpunk has more going on. Flying cars in the background or people going about their business in the background would make everything feel more alive. As it feels very empty when it's just you and the enemies, with the occasional NPC. However, that's a minor complaint overall, so graphics/art direction gets a thumbs up. Next up is F.I.S.T's map. The game chooses the actual gated method akin to the Metroid series, not so much by double jumping and wall jumping, but more with weapon upgrades. It ends up feeling a lot more lock and key instead of organic. Oh, maybe when I get to fly I can come back here, etc. I don't have a preference to either approach really, I just like a good map. F.I.S.T. has a lot of information, including map completion percentage, which I always appreciate. It feels good to move around in for the most part, although the game gets a little long in the incisors in the back half. Overall, the game's map gets a thumbs up. Gameplay and controlling Rayton. Now, I think this is the most subjective category. It's difficult to convey how a game feels, at least for me. Like explaining to someone why Dark Souls 2 feels the worst to play compared to the rest of the series would be hard to do just from video alone. I guess you'll just have to believe me when I say it feels fluid, and for a lack of a better word, good, to control Rayton. The combat is fighting gamey, where you use the game's currency to unlock combos, basically making more options for disposing the enemies the game throws at you. Boss fights are another staple of Metroidvania games, and for the vast majority of the ones here, they're fun and challenging. Much like the map, the boss fights in the very end are a bit much and feel like a grind. Overall, gameplay is another thumbs up from me. Final thoughts on F.I.S.T. Forged in Shadow Torch. I had pretty low expectations when I downloaded this bunny smacker type game. And while the story really isn't anything to write home about, and the game overstays its welcome, I personally prefer a shorter Metroidvania, as I like to go through my favorites over and over. I don't think this one would make it in the rotation. I might replay it to the mandatory stealth section, which, surprise, surprise, I don't care for those either. And full price of $30 is also a bit steep, but maybe that's why F.I.S.T is 15 hours to complete instead of the more palatable 9. That all being said, if you've been keeping score at home, F.I.S.T gets a thumbs up from me. I enjoyed most of my time with it, and there is a couple bunnies smacking each other around, so it kinda had me from the cover. Thanks for watching, as always. I do have a Patreon if you want to support me further. I'm thankful for all my subscribers and any likes or comments that get thrown my way. The only bunnies that were harmed in making this video were fictional. That all being said, I'll see you in the next one. Same bunny time, same bunny channel.
Officer, your pump is just carrot juice. Looking for weapons? I've got some.